Howdy friends, Wes here checking in with another episode of the great vinyl trade-in slash haul from the store here that recently opened in town that trades in books and video games and movies and vinyl and traded in a bunch of stuff and was able to turn it all into vinyl records that I wanted, as well as a few other things. Mostly vinyl, so this is the series of videos I'm making to show what I got off of my trade-ins. This is episode 2 of 3 videos, so if you missed the first episode, I'll try to put a link in the show notes below on the first episode, and in the third episode, once that's available as well. The third episode is going to be all hip-hop based stuff, so episode 1 and 2 are going to be all the rock and roll and jazz and country and whatever else I found. So let's go ahead and get into this episode number 2. First thing I have here in episode number 2 is the debut album from Nirvana. This is Bleach, reissue of the album on Sub Pop Records, of course. Nice to be able to finally have this on vinyl in the collection. Classic album, and yeah. It's Nirvana's debut album. Not much more needs to be said about that. Here was a pretty cool pickup. First album from Boris. This is Boris and Merzbow, a split album from them titled Sun-Baked Snow Cave, 2 LP set. Really nice artwork here. A Stoughton jacket, really heavy Stoughton jacket. Really cool. Awesome stuff here, and just some nice, really sludge, doomy metal kind of stuff. Love this stuff, and glad to pick that up. Picked that up for I guess it was $25 for that in trade-in value. Talked about a Stephen Stills 2 album in the last episode, and here is the debut solo album from Stephen Stills, self-titled. But the special thing about this, you'll notice it's a glossy cover. This is a German pressing of the Stephen Stills debut album. An album I already have. Really cool to find a German pressing. I'm always on the lookout for German pressings of albums. They always do a really great job of pressing albums, and really glad to have this. So, Stephen Stills debut German pressing for $2 in trade-in value. It was awesome. Glad to pick that up. Next we have Ursula Rucker with Super Sister. Haven't had a chance to spin this. Don't know anything about it. Just looked interesting, and for $2 I thought I would give it a try. Maybe some nice modern soul kind of music, so give that a try. Here is an solo album from Graham Nash titled Wild Tales. $2 on that as well. Next up, an album from the Pet Shop Boys from 1987 titled Actually. The self-titled album by Rhinoceros. An iconic album artwork, and I know this is a well-loved piece here, so I thought I would grab this one, add it to my collection, give it a listen. So really cool to pick that one up. That one's on Elektra label. Alright, next thing I have here is Tim Davis with Pipe Dream. Just picked this up on the album artwork alone. Just thought it looked neat, thought it looked like an interesting pickup, so I thought I'd give it a try. Always love organ music and Deutsche Grammophon pickups in general, so I thought I would add this one to the collection. This is some Sebastian Bach organ music here, played by Carl Richter on Deutsche Grammophon. So it should be pretty well played, pretty well recorded, and cool looking photo of the organ on here on the front. $2 again, really no brainer there. Very nice copy of It's a Beautiful Day. Already have this in the inbox, but not as nice as this one was. And for $2, again, I couldn't pass this one up. Classic sort of progressive album here. Another in the Beatles mono reissues. This is the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. This is probably my favorite early Beatles song, If I Fell on It. And yeah, just definitely had to have this one in the collection. And again, these mono reissues that they did just last year or a year or two ago now, awesome. They just sound incredible. Can't recommend them enough. As I said, for $22, $23 a piece. You really can't go wrong with these mono reissues of the Beatles albums if you want to collect the Beatles. This is probably better than an original in my opinion. I got the self-titled album from Beach House. Glad to pick that one up, and that one is just on black vinyl. But really nice to be able to pick that up for 15 bucks. Next up, more Beatles mono reissues. This is the mono reissue of Revolver. Classic sort of time period when the Beatles were changing their overall style, getting definitely a little more psychedelic, a little more out there, a little moving away from the pop sort of stuff they started out with. Classic album, and yeah, again, the mono reissues are killer. Absolutely recommend these. Another in the mono reissue series, this is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Definitely the #1 album on the Rolling Stone charts, I think, and a well-loved Beatles album. Did a beautiful job of reissuing this. Get the original insert with the cutouts, as well as the printed inner sleeve of the original. Just, yeah, when they did these mono reissues, they did everything they could to make these right, and I'm just blown away by the quality on these and really happy with them. So next thing, got a little bit of prog here. This is Triumvirate with Spartacus. Very nerdy prog stuff here. Really cool album. Glad to have that in the collection. This is something I've been on the lookout for. New Orleans brass jazz bands. Really cool, very local style of music. Not going to find it anywhere else outside of New Orleans. It's very rare to find this, and so I picked this one up. This is Dahan's Olympia Brass Band of New Orleans. There's a picture of the band there on the back. New Orleans brass band music, awesome stuff. I'm glad I've really found this. It was definitely a cherished piece in my collection now, as I'm not necessarily the type that's going to go to Mardi Gras or anything like that to be able to actually see this stuff happen. I'm just not really big into crowds and that kind of party atmosphere like that. Next thing I have here is Star Drive with Intergalactic Trot on CD4 quadraphonic. Just some mid-70s synthesizer type stuff. 1973 on this one. Just very spacey synthesizer work on here. Pretty cool. I got the Procol Harum self-titled debut on Darum on stereo. Picked that up for $2. That was nice. $2 in trade value. Got a album from Robert Palmer here. This is titled Pressure Drop. 1975 on this one. Do like Robert Palmer quite a bit. Pretty cool looking stuff there, so glad to have that. A UK pressing of OMD's Dazzle Ships. I have a US pressing of this already, but for $4 I had to have this UK pressing of it. Absolutely. There's the insert with the cut corners and everything. UK pressing all the way. Absolutely got to have that. Here is a modern pop singer titled Mira. And the album is titled Espera. Just some very interesting modern pop vocal sounding stuff. This was $6, I believe. Thought I would pick this up, give it a try. It looked interesting enough from the album artwork, and I think I sampled a little bit of it in the store, and it has a nice foil embossing on it. It was just interesting looking, and I enjoyed spinning this one. I've only spun it once so far, but it's good sort of modern female pop type stuff, and good stuff. And then the absolute first of the Beatles mono reissues that I got, and the one that sort of got me started and made me fall in love with them, is my favorite Beatles album of all time, is the self-titled White Album. The 2 LP set. They did a beautiful, beautiful job of reissuing this. As I said, it sounds incredible. Even though it is mono, it's not stereo, and this particular album is probably better in stereo. But for all analog production, mono reissue, this is incredible, and I'm very happy to have this in the collection. So, the Beatles, self-titled. Love having this. Glad to have this. And last but not least, in the rock, pop, jazz sort of genre, we have the Hurons, or the Erons, here on Earth. $2 on that one. Just thought that looked interesting, so I thought $2, I'll give it a try. So that is the end of episode 2. Thank you for watching. One more episode to go. Please stay tuned. If you want to see some hip hop stuff, the last episode is going to be all completely hip hop related. So thanks for watching. Leave me some comments down below. Any questions? Otherwise, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Cheers.